pleasant good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Welcome, one and all. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Hope you are ready and set for a productive week. Today, Monday, the 15th day of January 2024. Remember, January almost halfway, 31 days. You're on the 15th day already. The month is moving. The year is moving. Share the live. Let people know that we're on. Let me start off by saying happy MLK Day to all my students in the USA. Martin Luther King's birthday celebrating today, and therefore I even need to special thanks to all of you for taking time off on this birthday. I know people are saying in the comments a very cold day in New York in particular. So welcome. Hope the music that we played in the introduction would have served to warm you up a bit. And with the information that we have to give you, hope that you are going to be warmed up. So again, welcome. Share the live. Let's celebrate being in the land of the living. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. We have again so much to tell you. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio, ready to join and to share the credible information with you. Well, we give as we do the introduction, give you time to share the live. And as we indicated on the last day, which was Wednesday, someone said what you should do too is like the program, and that generates this algorithms so that the more people will be attracted to the program. We have large numbers as usual, in the schoolyard when the program was scheduled about 8 o'clock this morning. And since we went live a few moments ago, the Facebookers are here in their numbers. So share the live. Shortly, we are going to do the roll call, and then we're going to move straight into the program. So yes, again, hope you had a wonderful weekend, very relaxing for me, and that you're looking forward to a productive week. For those of you in New York, bundle up. It's below freezing all day. According to the forecast, it's below freezing. They're expecting some snow tonight into tomorrow. So bundle up. Stay warm, my students. Stay warm. Some people said they were in the schoolyard, notwithstanding the cold weather, waiting for the school door to open. So we open and you're in the class now. So it's a much warmer in here. But yes, we're gonna, as I said, we're gonna do the roll call. Then we're going to do the greetings as is normal, and then we're going to move straight into the program. Again, I must say, let's rejoice and celebrate being in the land of the living. Many persons are not that fortunate. So every day that we are allowed to wake up and see a new day, it should be a day for celebration, because many persons would not have been that fortunate. Let me go to the roll call. And to tell you that when we scheduled this morning, the first person class was Patricia. Patricia was here very early. Then out of the UK, Wayne came in early this morning from the UK. Then Kenneth from Maryland. Machu came in. And then we have after Machu, Francis, the man from Melanie Damashana. He says he's from Melanie Damashana and he's in the program. Joan was in next. Then we had Baldet from Linden. I know Baldet very well from Linden. Vibert works in the Manhattan. He's here. Gail came in, and she's listening from Georgetown. Welcome all those persons from Georgetown. Then we had another person from the UK. Winston is here. Then we have Patricia from Philadelphia. Next in class, Maureen from Seattle, Washington. John came in. And after John, the one and only BX, he is in New Jersey. He said he was watching from Newark, New Jersey. Then Pito from Queens is here, followed by 9414, my squad mate, Carl Hartman. He is from Arizona. Then Princess from Lamar Springs. Then Earl came in next after Princess. We have Earl. Then we have Danielle. Daniel says he's from Linden in the house. Big up Linden. Orin, 12758 King, he's in class. Then we had Monica. She came in next. Carville, another squad mate of mine. Then we have Randolph Jr., 12538 Jr. Jr., what always your brother, your twin brother. Then we have Debbie, came in. They said, Blessed New Year. Jakey, all the way from Baltimore, is very much here. 14929 Jakey. Everett. Everett is from Texas, we know by now. Carlton, another squad mate of mine, was in class. Then Floyd joined next. Then Jacko from Georgia, he's there. Lucius came in. Carlisle. Pamela from across the river. Then we have the original Black Man is in class. He said happy MLK Day to all of us. Then Rastaman came in. Ulrich, my squad mate, 9555, and he said here he's in the doctor's office, but he's waiting for class to get started. And he said he hope everything goes in my favor today. He's referring to the sexual offense charge. I'll give you a brief on that in a short while. Then we have Kerry from Baltimore. Anthony Bradshaw from the East Bank. Rhonda is here. Desiree, Liverpool from Georgia, is in the house. Jean is also, Jean is in the house. Felicia is here as well. Then we have Shetred. Then the one and only Rohan Jahawar is here. 12863. Queenie, West Coast Borbies, ready and waiting. Cranston, can't recall seeing Cranston in class before. Welcome, welcome. Then we have Johnny, Ulrich, Tilula, Brian. He says he's watching from Guyana, and Brian is watching from Guyana. Then we have Sean from New York, regular ex-sergeant is here watching. Then Courtney Saul. Cody says he's back in New Jersey. So he went back in New Jersey and he's watching from New Jersey. Brennan is here. Pauline is in class. Then we have Pito. Pito reminded us that today in Guyana is the budget day. Today is budget day in Guyana. Then we have Karen Chilo, one and only Chilo. Then we have Doreen, my squad mate from Canada, is in the house, W349. Clarence is here waiting for the class to start. Vibert from the East Bank is very much here. Then we have Malcolm in class, Bart, Ingrid, Emerson. We have Colin. He says he's from New Jersey, watching from New Jersey. His number was 10569. Colin, Clifton is here, all the way from Paris, watching. Orin is here, and Orin is from the UK. Then we have Deborah. And when we went live on a while ago, the first person on Facebook, Raul, followed by Marcia, followed by Stephen, followed by Joan. Then we had, who next? Raul. Then we have the man from Essequibo, Abdun from Essequibo, Lynette from Barbados, and the list goes on and on. Winston is here, and the list goes on. Now, let me tell you, let me bring in first of all, before I bring in my colleague, let me just give you some of the notifications that we have for you today. You know, we normally start off with on the sad note to announce those who have passed. And the first person death I want to announce, this is a death that took place some time ago, and the person was buried last week. Sergeant 17548, Hubert Hall. He was stationed in Region 7, I understand. He was buried sometime last week, and he's a countryman, he's a BV man. And so it is so unfortunate to know some families really get it rough. His father, Sinclair Hall, known as Cosmo, died a few short months ago. And now this sergeant passed away. Then we have the death, I think it was yesterday, it was brought to attention. 11413, Michael Saul. He was some Corriverton on the quarantine Borbies. He passed away yesterday. And even before that, we were told of the death of 7879, Ernest Billy, known as Zulu. Us older police will remember Zulu. He was a feature at the Gymkhana. I think he was a K9 rank. And he was also a calypsonian. He sang a calypso at one of the 1 year Mashramani Calypso competition. I think the name of the song was Jaina Ban. And we used to tease him about the lack of lyrics in the calypso. So yeah, Zulu has passed away. I think he was in the States. He died some time ago. So condolences to the relatives and friends and survivors of all of those former members who have passed. And on the brighter side, let me announce some birthdays. Birthday greetings today going out to retired assistant superintendent. I think he was detective assistant superintendent Kenrick Maynard. I know Kenrick, today is his birthday. We also have birthday of a very good friend of mine, old TSU mate of mine, Theophilus Makanju, 9663 Makanju. Theophilus is celebrating his birthday today. And today is also the birthday of former cadet officer Keith Simon. Again, the older persons like Mr. Conway and myself, Ulrich, this we remember Simon. I think it was Simon and Watts. That was a combination, Simon and Watts. Simon left, Watts has remained. Today, Simon is celebrating his birthday. And a former member too, a very good friend, Cero. I refer to no other than Janet Jackson. Was my friend. She used to be at General Office, Cero. Those persons are celebrating their birthdays today. And then recent birthdays, we have retired woman Corporal 0746 Borny Shal, Nisi. Borny Shal, my countrywoman, she celebrated a birthday recently. And then we have our famous friend CC, Robert Tyndall, the man we used to call Diplak. Tyndall was a prosecutor, one of the better prosecutors in recent time. And coming towards the end of his career, I think he was attached to the DPP's chamber. And then he was with SOKU as well. Very good prosecutor, very good police, right? Very good police. And that is a breed that is rapidly vanishing. So, and then we have also the retired Superintendent Michael Young. Michael used to be at the police communication workshop. He celebrated a birthday recently. So to all those who are celebrating today and all those who celebrated recently, I wish you folks all the best, especially health, strength, and happiness. So let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. CC, welcome. Hope you had a wonderful weekend.
Morning. Yes, I had a wonderful weekend, especially Saturday evening where my children had a little surprise party for my loving wife. And they kept me out of the show until the last moment. But I'm happy to be in the land of the living. And also I met someone who celebrated her birthday recently. And her name is let me get the name yourself. Esther Young. I met her and her daughter, Michaela. They're educators in Bahamas. And we met at a function and she told me a very interesting story. For her mother, she said she's an ardent fan. She don't miss our program. Even though she's in Guyana holiday, she don't miss it. And she mentioned a thing about her naming her daughter. Her first child was a son and he named Michael after his father. And then when she got a daughter, she was looking for a name and she couldn't find a name. So she just added A to Michael and she called it Mikila. And talking about naming persons, let me tell you a little funny story as an appetizer. I had a cousin, a policeman, I think he lived to 94 years, died in the streets. And he said one evening he took his wife to the Georgetown Hospital to get a baby. And when he went back the next morning, she got a son. So he had to go back the day and carry lunch for her. And when she was leaving, she said, we didn't get a name for the baby, you know. When you come back, must give me a name. You live in East La Penitence. And he said as he was riding through that road, that cemetery road that they get a whole set of problem with where the minister said unnatural forces are bugging the people. I think they closed it up a couple days ago. Then he remembered, hey, I didn't get a name. So he said he rode into the bare ground and looked for the biggest tomb. And he saw a tomb and the name was the man who buried it was Michael Anthony. So he went back to the hospital and he gave the mother the name Michael Anthony, the son. And when the boy was 6 years old, he told his story how the boy got his name. He said the boy became hysterical. The boy started crying. The boy said, "Daddy, oh, you could name me after dead man. Daddy, oh, you could name me after dead man." And he said it took it days before, he could have consoled that boy. And later on, those six of them, the children used to mock him sometimes. That's why daddy named you half a dead man. So you gotta be careful, sometimes what name we give our children.
Indeed, what a good story. Indeed. Now, yeah, see some people commenting. Peter says he had some very good prosecutors. His brother, Franklin Peters, he said Edgar Prasad. Yeah, he had some outstanding prosecutors back in the day. I remember as a very young police, perhaps even before I joined, people like you, Doc Miller, Cyril Fredericks, and lots of outstanding Peter Blood Bailey. Those are people, perhaps Bailey was before my time. And you had outstanding prosecutors that many of the lawyers, especially the younger ones, were afraid to go up against because they were so well trained. And when I did prosecutors course, I was taught simple. You have the elements for a particular charge. Just make sure you establish two different witnesses what the elements are. And once you put before the court, you are able to bring out what the elements of a particular charge are. You can dare any lawyer to come and to shake or to get off the witness stick. Know what the elements are. And once you knew what the elements are, you present it. You know which witness is going to prove what, which witness is going to prove which part of the case. And I make this in too. I have to refer to our recent case where one of the things I was taught as a prosecutor is that when you are prosecuting, you try to establish your case. You bring your main witnesses as early as possible. And then the other witnesses will come to support what is already before the court. But apparently that no longer obtains. They just bring in witnesses randomly. But I was taught, bring your primary witnesses up front. Get the evidence in. And everything that comes thereafter will come to support the main witness or witnesses. But partly these people are not taught this, or if they are taught that, they just don't care. Elements, get your witnesses. You know if it's an assault, what the elements are. You know if it's a burglary, what the elements are. You know if it's a wounding, what the elements are, and you make sure that those elements are established. CC, what are your views?
You're so correct. And I particularly remember burglary, where we used to use the acronym in bed, intent, nighttime, breakage, entry, dwelling house. And you're so correct that you get your witnesses first. Your main witness, let they come and give the evidence, and others with the supporting evidence will follow. And as a prosecutor, you have to study your case. You got to know the file inside out. You got to read it, and you got to know what each witness is going to say. That's how you present. But then now we have nowadays that they don't do proper investigation, so you can't get proper prosecution. If it's garbage, giggle. If it's garbage in, garbage out. That don't mind garbage in, don't mind what activity you create. Garbage gonna be out. So if you don't have proper investigation, you can't have proper prosecution. I'm not boasting, but remember I did a murder case in Krupong, and the defense counsel was do not sing. And in those days, you don't have to have disclosure when an indictable matter is being tried summarily. It was a murder matter. And the investigator took a 8-page statement from the star witness. But when I went through the file, I discovered there are many gaps there. So when I lead him in evidence, in his evidence in chief, the magistrate wrote 38 pages. I remember the night we went out and do nothing. Said, "Mr. Conway, we allow the man to talk so much, you know. If you know, if I know how to talk to you, so that want to make no difference. That the thing is that you have to know your case. You got to know the elements of the charge and know which witness going to prove what point, and that's the thing. But now, I don't think we have those kind of prosecutors available now. And the prosecutors sometimes used to teach the magistrates.
That's so true. I remember a senior person telling me that. He said one of the disadvantages of the young lawyers now is that you don't have those experienced prosecutors, because the person told me that then when they started to practice, they depended so much on the prosecutors, the police prosecutors, to guide them. So even though they came from law school, in those days they came from they came out of England, well trained, but they said they did not have the experience, and the police prosecutors were so well trained and so experienced that they depended on those prosecutors to lead them. And the next thing that was very critical back in the day, I don't know if they have it now, what we call orderly room, because no witness was allowed to go into the box without attending the orderly room. The orderly room is where the prosecutor will go through your evidence and your statement and to make sure that everything is tied up. It's not to coerce, it's not to collude, but to make sure that your statement, you know exactly what evidence you have to have. Because remember, and this is to the younger policemen, I have said this repeatedly. I was shocked some years ago when I was reading a file, and I was also lecturing to a course, and then people were telling me about hearsay in relation to the statement. They cannot say this in a statement, or they cannot write this in a statement because it is hearsay. So I said, what nonsense is that? Statements don't have hearsay. When you write a statement is a work picture of what transpired. You have to write everything. You have to write everything in the statement. Now, when you get to the court and you go into the witness box, there are certain things, that is where the hearsay rule comes in. Some things you might not be able to say, but then a skillful prosecutor will know how to deal with that. A skillful prosecutor will know how to deal with that. And again, let me tell these young policemen who are listening, there's nothing to say that hearsay evidence is not admissible. I have had to upbraid many times police because hearsay evidence is not admissible. That is not so. As a general rule, let me understand this. As a general rule, hearsay evidence is not admissible. But there are several exceptions to the hearsay rule. There are several exceptions to the hearsay rule. That is a whole lecture by itself. I don't want to go through. For example, one that comes off the head as a prosecutor writes the dying declaration. The dying declaration is an exception to the hearsay rule. And as I've said, this is not a lecture on that, but just to let you know, and just to whet your appetite so you can go and do your research and read. Don't ever tell anyone that hearsay evidence is not admissible. That is the general rule, but there are exceptions to the hearsay rule. Dying declaration, res gestae, all of those things are exceptions. There are more exceptions to the hearsay rule. Mr. Conway, as a whole prosecutor, I'm sure you would want to say something on that before we move on.
Yeah. There's exceptions to the hearsay rule. And I always remember my good friend Compton Richardson lecturing to us about res gestae, things done contemporaneously, that there's evidence, hearsay rules, and there are many exceptions. As you mentioned, is a whole lecture by itself, but there are exceptions to the hearsay rule. So don't just throw it aside and say, hey, there's hearsay. Put it in your statement. Sometimes coming out of what you write in your statement, additional evidence may very well flow.
Exactly. So for young policemen, when you write a statement, write everything that you know, everything that you saw, and that. Write everything. And when the time comes for evidence to be given, the prosecutor will know what you can say and what you can't say. Right? So understand this. And Shaggy, you're right. This is where the prosecutors come in, because again, that is when you have a proper orderly room, and the orderly room, as I've said, is where the witness. And back in the day, you had to go to the orderly room before. If you were getting evidence in Georgetown, you had to attend the orderly room the day before you were required to go to the court, and the prosecutor will go through your statement with you and get things sorted out. So when you go into the witness box, you know exactly what you are required to say, and he knows how to lead you around the hearsay. This hearsay contained in the statement. So understand that. Now let me move on. As I indicated earlier, last week I told you this morning, I had this trumped up sexual assault charge before the acting chief magistrate. That was a long story, so I don't want to bore you with it. It's showing it went to the court 3, it went back to court 1 for the chief magistrate. Well, this morning the chief magistrate was to reassign the matter, Because when the matter came up last before the magistrate in court 3, Magistrate Weaver, she said that in the interest of justice, she was going to send the matter back to the chief magistrate for it to be reassigned. So it was sent back, and this morning should have been that. Reassignment, I was advised by my lawyer that the magistrate is not available. That is the acting chief magistrate. And therefore, the matter has been postponed to February the 20th at 10 a.m. February the 20th is the new date for the reassignment. Remember, we ain't getting to trial and all of that yet. This is the date when the chief magistrate is expected to appoint another magistrate to conduct the trial. So, it's vindication delayed. Vindication delayed, but I'm gonna hang in there. I'm not losing any faith. I'm not losing any rest. I am anxiously awaiting the time to clear my name. And then the other matter that is imminent, that is the one with the civil lawsuit Karim Bash filed against me. That comes up on Friday, this Friday, the 19th, at 9:15 at the High Court. So that's the update on those two matters. But it's the thing with the first matter that I referred to. These charges were filed since the 19th of May 2021. We can't even get to a trial date as yet. That is what is going on. As I said, vindication delayed. But as I have repeatedly said to you, my student, I know what the outcome is going to be. Remember, we told you that with the trumped-up conspiracy to commit fraud charge. We said we know that the matter can't even get past a no-case submission. And that is exactly what happened. And then last week, we did inform you. For those of you who weren't in class, let me tell you that the DPP has informed us that the matter is being appealed. That is the matter where the magistrate Weaver dismissed the trumped-up conspiracy to commit fraud charge on the grounds that there was no evidence against any of the accused. And certain remarks were made. People want to know how this matter reached the court in the first place. We had on this program Attorney Dexter Tad, and he made the point. He said that he can't understand how persons with legal training would have gone through that file and recommended that this nonsensical charge be instituted. But that is what you have. Some of these agencies, as we have said, are weaponized. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is going to be. What they want to do is to get the opportunity to push a particular narrative that you charge and you before the court, make you spend a whole set of money. That is what the aim is, to try to tarnish your image. So we are waiting because in the appeal, of course, all they said the matter is appeal and the date will be communicated. But once the matter is appeal, it's up to the lawyers now. The lawyers are going to deal with it. But I would love to see what the grounds are, because this is a case where 24 witnesses were called, and I can tell you, not a single witness gave any evidence that remotely linked to the particulars of the charge. Not a single witness, because they were alleging, or they tried to allege that no work was done, we were paid and no work was done, and their own witnesses, more than one witnesses, debunked that, because they said they were there and they were part of the work. And the magistrate then realized that they suppressed evidence as well. If you're so confident of your case, why suppress evidence? And somebody told me that one of the investigators in particular, saying that the investigation was properly done, but the prosecutor did not do a proper job. That is rubbish. That is rubbish. As came out under the cross-examination of the major investigator, Ramana. You're alleging conspiracy. Do you have any email? Do you have any text message? Do you have any phone conversation between these defendants? None. Nothing at all. And you're talking about conspiracy. So we're going to wait to see what will happen with that appeal. But as we have said, the outcome is going to be clear. The outcome, we know what the outcome is. And there's also one other matter, another civil lawsuit, the one filed by Brutus. If you recall, if you were in class that time, the matter was dismissed by the judge. And they appealed that matter. And I remember that when I wasn't informed immediately about the appeal, and then what happened? Eventually, the appeal, the full court, was to rule on the appeal sometime in November. I think around November 28th or something like that. And they then informed the lawyers that the decision of the full court will be emailed to them by the 1st of December 2023. But I've been finding out, and up to now, I don't think that decision has been emailed to the lawyers. So those are the matters that are there. And let me bring in Mr. Conway in case he wants to say anything, especially with respect to the dismissed case and the appeal that was filed. CC, anything to say on that?
Like you, I would like to see the grounds of the appeal, because during the trial, there was no evidence, as you mentioned, to show that we conspire with anybody, or even with ourselves or persons unknown. We were charged into $10 million fraud, and not a word, nothing to prove that we received a cent, nothing but the $10 million. And then, the charge so ridiculous that we didn't follow proper procedures, and nothing in the statement of offense, in the part of offense, saying what is the procedure that we didn't follow. It was so ridiculous, and I didn't do any investigation. I wasn't cautioned. Pastor wasn't cautioned. Some others weren't cautioned, and there's a major breach of the judge's rule, which is fatal. Called it saying that the investigator, as soon as you have evidence which will cause you to reasonably suspect that a person has committed an offense, you have to stop and caution him. You are not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but whatever you say will be taken down in writing and given in evidence, full stop, nothing of the kind. And then somebody reminded me, somebody say, they couldn't caution you or pastor because they ain't evidence, so they couldn't caution you. But the whole thing is, well, a waste of court time. Maybe DPP want to appeal. She has a right to appeal, but then we don't know the outcome, Paul.
Yeah, the outcome is certain. Never, ever any case. Never any case. I know. Coming out of this, a question was asked of me over the past few days. We saying that this case was dismissed, and the question was asked in relation to the matter we spoke about not so long ago, where the woman in Borbies was charged for murder in relation to the death of her husband, where it is alleged that she fed him poison and he died. And after repeatedly failing to produce a file, this is in Region 6, East Borbies, New Amsterdam, East Borbies, the magistrate discharged the case. And somebody was asking me, what is the difference between the case being discharged and a case being dismissed? Let me explain very simply, quickly. Now, as you would recall too, we said the magistrate did say in the Bobby's case, the matter is discharged, and the police can reinstitute the charge whenever they want to. The matter was discharged. In other words, there was no trial. The file failed to be presented. They couldn't start the prosecution, so the matter is discharged. And once the matter is discharged, you can rearrest that suspected person, and you can reinstitute the charge. It happens fairly frequently. Many times you have a case going on, even more the case, big high-profile cases. And what happens? For some reason, the magistrate is going to discharge the case. And from the time the person steps out of the court, the police will rearrest and reinstitute the charge. So that is discharge. Now, dismiss is totally different. As in our case, when your matter is dismissed, because you had a trial, witnesses were called, they were examined, they were cross-examined, perhaps even re-examined. And at the end of that process, the magistrate ruled that there was no case against the defendants, as in our case, and therefore it is dismissed. You can't bring back that charge. It is dismissed. Then anytime you attempt to bring it back is double jeopardy and the French, I think the Latin, autrefour, qui, and all of those things will come into play. So understand the difference, policemen and women who are listening, and even the civilians, that when a matter is discharged by the magistrate, there was no trial, so the charge can be reinstituted. But if there is a trial and the person is dismissed, the case is dismissed, then that's it. You can reinstitute that charge. So understand it clearly, the difference between when a matter is discharged and when a matter is dismissed. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to add anything that you would want to add on that. Do you see anything you want to add on that?
You were quite clear, you know, because you were running conflict with the doctrine of double jeopardy, and you made it quite clear in terms of what is discharge and what is dismissed. It's very clear.
So I just want, again, for the benefit of the ranks who are here, we know lots and lots of policemen. They tell you all the time how beneficial they find this program. Only 2 weeks ago, I met a young man. You know what he told me? He said, "Boss man, having listened to you and I listened to all your programs, I believe I could turn a liar now, you know." That is exactly what he told me. A man who's always on this program, the original black man, told me that. He said, "Having listened to you and Mr. Conway explain in detail certain aspects of policing and certain basic elements of the law," he said, "I believe that I could go and be a liar now." But my friend, not so quick. Even us, with the knowledge that we have, can't jump and say that we are liars. We know we have a lot of knowledge and experience, perhaps even more than some of those who have been called to the bar and are practicing law. But there's a whole process before you can practice law. But it's important that we share this information with police, men and women in particular, and the civilians too, because when you hear these things, you know what your rights are. So we explain to you what is the difference between when a matter is discharged and when the matter is dismissed. And somebody's patch is asking whether the person was arrested. No, you don't necessarily have to rearrest the person immediately, you know. You don't have to rearrest the person immediately. In many cases, as soon as the person walks out of the court, you got to allow them to leave the court, then they're arrested outside the court compound. In some cases, maybe they don't. In this case, what we're referring to, where the wife is alleged to have poisoned the husband. Remember, the magistrate, they were asking for a post-mortem report. They were asking for toxicology report. You don't know if those reports are there. So maybe even before you decide that you are going to rearrest and reinstitute the charge, you have to make sure that you have additional evidence. And that brings us to, if you remember, the Marcus Bisram case, all the way to the CCJ. And the CCJ made reference to that, said the DPP, if she wants, she can reinstitute if new evidence come to light. But the CCJ said that based on the evidence before the court, where the magistrate discharged Bisram, and then the DPP orders rearrest and all of that, the CCJ said that based on the evidence, there's nothing against this man. And if new evidence come to light, then you can rearrest. So let's understand how the process works. Sometimes they jump, and just to satisfy the public opinion and public sentiments, you institute a charge and you arrest persons. The evidence is not there. You have to make sure that you have the evidence before you arrest. And we said the same thing last week in reference to the Rosal murder of the lady and her son. They arrest people, twice, and not to release them. And the matter is still pending. So the question is always asked, on what basis you arrested those persons? On what basis were those persons arrested? If you arrest, you release, you rearrest, and then you have to release again. So that is part of the educational value of this program. Let me move on. I have something else to deal with here this morning. What is the next issue? Now, there was an issue in the news, and I would want Mr. Conway to expound a lot on this. And I'm referring to the Mark Vera issue. We saw in the media some time ago that Mark Vera, popular businessman and racing driver, is alleged to have committed a series of offenses. Based on what we were told, based on what was in the media, a file was sent to the DPP's chamber, and 5 charges were recommended against Mark Vera. And it would appear as though nothing took place, and the charges were not instituted. And I have a note here to say, I remember last week, there was one of the headlines. It says, police force silent on decision not to proceed with DPP's recommended charges against Mark Farrer. That was, I think, one of the social media posts, that the police force silent on the decision not to proceed with the DPP's recommendation to institute 5 charges against Mark Farrer. So the matter went to the DPP. They recommended 5 charges. And the people were saying they were trying to find out from the corporate propaganda unit of the police force, what is the position with this matter? There's something it said that the head of the corporate communications unit, Mark Farrer, has been ignoring questions on the matter, despite promising more than a week ago that he would seek information from the acting commissioner on the issue. So you had a case where charges were recommended, no charges filed after weeks, and therefore people were asking the question. And it is reported that Mark Ramatar, the head of the corporate, they said corporate communication, but to me is a propaganda unit, said that he's going to seek information from the acting commissioner. But one of the things that struck me, why you got to ask the acting commissioner about that? This file would not have been sent to the acting commissioner. Once the file goes to the DPP and charges are recommended, it goes back to there's a chain. It goes to the crime chief. The crime chief sends it back to the division. In this case, it will be in Division 4B, that is on the East Bank, where Ramana is in charge. And he says he's going to ask the commissioner. I thought he would have asked the divisional commander what is the position with this matter, but nothing happened. And then over the past couple of days, I saw a statement in the media attributed to the lawyer representing Mark Farrer, basically to say that the matter was not properly investigated. So let me find it here. They said the matter was not properly investigated. So they have lodged a complaint with the Police Complaints Authority over the manner in which the matter was investigated. And then the headline says that this was on January 10th. Mark Farrer calls police probe of assault allegation biased, seeks redress from the Police Complaints Authority. Now, there are several things that I want to point out here, and I'm sure my colleague is going to point it out as well. Under normal circumstances, I said normal circumstances, once charges are recommended by the Director of Public Prosecutions, you have to implement those charges. Once they're criminal charges, you have to implement, because the DPP is the ultimate authority when it deals to criminal charges, whether they are public criminal charges instituted by the police or one of those agencies, or private criminal charges. We have seen that in recent years, where even private criminal charges are discontinued by the DPP. The DPP has that authority under the Constitution. So once the DPP recommends charge, you go ahead and you implement those charges. And even if the person who is to be charged makes a complaint to the Police Complaints Authority, that should not prevent the police from instituting the charge. Let's understand it clearly. The only way you're not going to institute those charges is if the DPP asks for the file to be returned. The DPP asks to send back this file. And once the file returns to the DPP and they review it, then they might then instruct not to proceed with the charge. But I'm saying the fact that that Mark Farrer has made a complaint to the Police Complaints Authority and they're likely to investigate this matter, that does not prevent the police from instituting the charges. That will not prevent you from instituting charges. You have to institute the charges unless the DPP asks. And even the Complaints Authority can instruct you not to institute these charges. It's the DPP has to recall the file and perhaps peruse it again and then give other instructions. So I don't know. And again, we say, is this animal farm that we're living in? Because I'm sure if it was an ordinary person, they would have gone long ago and implement those charges. We're seeing, and we have a matter we're going to talk about, where charges are implemented when there's not even any evidence against the person. And in this case, someone has made a complaint. The police did an investigation. The person is saying that they're not satisfied with the manner in which the investigation was done, but that doesn't prevent the police once, because if the investigation wasn't properly done, then the DPP should have picked it up and said, look, we want this and we want that, get clarification here, get clarification there. But once the DPP signs off on it, one has to assume that they are satisfied that the matter was properly investigated and they have evidence against the person. That is why they were recommending the 5 charges. But CC, let me hear your take on this strange development.
A certain man used to say, things not regular, no poto. And this case with McVeigh, leaves much to be desired. There are too many overhanging questions. Here it is, the file sent to the DPP, and the DPP advised criminal charges, I think 5 charges. What we have in the media is that somebody from headquarters, not certain whether it's a extended squad or not, said don't proceed. And the extended squad visit, he has a right to, say don't proceed, but he can't stop there. He's got to get his views in the file back to the DPP, and the DPP might change or say, go ahead with it. I could remember doing matters came to me in Barbies and on the East Coast, where DPP or the Director of Public Prosecutor's Office recommend charge. I remember one was a fatal accident, and the only witness was the driver, and they had some person that just came out of law school, and the person wrote one line, charge the driver with causing death by dangerous driving. I didn't agree with it, and I wrote in the file. I spoke to Commissioner Felix. I wrote in the file, and Felix has sent it to me, and he subsequently forwarded to the DPP. And the DPP wrote back, I think, about 8 pages, and said, recommend an inquest. The thing is that sometimes very junior people in the office of DPP will make decisions which are not correct. And I think they had instituted a system where some senior matters, serious matters, where the junior person wouldn't recommend, it has to go back to the DPP before it is sent out. Well, here's cases. I had about 3 cases where I did not agree, or the investigators did not agree with the decision of DPP. And we wrote back, and the DPP agreed with us and said, don't proceed. So, but then Vera, as I say in another story too, saying no investigation was done. Nobody contacted him. Nobody cautioned him, and then he make an allegation that this man that the other thing is connected with with a businessman who's in the news, with a businessman who's a Muslim, and we know the Muslim connection with the office of the DPP. So the thing is really, I can't find words to describe it. Let the file go back. If the commissioner feels that the matter is not what it ought to be, send back the file to the DPP to your recommendations, and I'm sure the DPP could review and say, hey, proceed or do not proceed. It's as simple as that. But then a lot of matters being investigated, and there no evidence there, and persons are being charged, and then it would finish at no case submission.
Yeah, that is what is happening. And you dance around the thing, because in the statement attributed to Mark Vera, he said that he leveled accusation at the Team Mohammed Racing Company over the confrontational incident that took place at the South Dakota Circuit. There was this incident at South Dakota Circuit, which led to a report being made and charges being recommended. And Vera is accusing, leveling the accusation at the T. Mohammed Racing Company. Apparently, the person who is alleged to have assaulted and whose property is alleged to damage, they're claiming is from T. Mohammed, and therefore the insinuation is that is why he was dealt with. The matter was dealt with in the manner it was dealt with. So again, unprofessional behavior, unprofessional behavior. And you note Regional Division 4B. The commander of Divisional 4B is Krishnadath Ramana. That is the same officer who arrested the lawyer, Tamika Clark, for advising our client to remain silent. So you're going to have these things. When you have these incompetent people in these offices, you're going to have that. You're going to have things like this, right? And then the next thing you know, people taking matters into their own hands. You don't want that. You don't want that. A matter is reported, it must be investigated. At that level, you have to ensure that not the first person to make the report gets right, because that is what obtains in a lot of cases. Someone goes to a police station, makes a report, and they accept what that person is saying without proper investigating. So when the next party makes the report, because they are going after, then the first party is deemed to be correct. No, you have to investigate the matter properly. You have to investigate, because we know from experience, all of us know from experience, that some people, they're wrong, and then they run to the station quick because they might have the means to get there earlier than the real victim. They make a report, and you have the type of unprofessional response to the whole thing. So you got to deal with this matter properly. And it is really saddening in these matters to see these things are getting past several layers, getting past station sergeant level, the subdivisional officer level, commanders level, all the way to the DPP with all of these faults. And let me remind the police and inform the others that no file, the procedure is that no file gets to the DPP without going through the crime chief. That is a standard operation procedure. All files, even if it is a accident file, once the matter has to go engage the attention of the DPP, it has to be routed through the crime chief. So it passes through all of those layers, and then one discovers that you have all of these problems. And let me move on. Again, last week we told you about the matter where a man was arrested on a committal warrant, I think on the East Coast, sent to jail. And then it was discovered after the man served how many times in jail that he's the wrong person, and he is suing the state for $35 million Guyana dollars. And we explained to you that is such a simple process that once a person is arrested on a committal warrant, then if the person claims that he is not that person, you have to investigate, get the virtual complainant or the complainant to verify whether that person is the correct person, because as we've said before, a lot of people get the same name. A lot of people have the same name, and you can't just decide that because the person name Paul Slow and you hold a Paul Slow, that is the person you are. If the person that you arrest claims that he is not the person named in the warrant, then you have to investigate. It's a committal warrant, as I've said. The police propaganda unit used to call it some sentencing warrant. Well, not like a sentencing warrant. There's nothing like a sentencing warrant. When a person is convicted in court, let's say you're convicted, magistrate fine you, or the magistrate sentence you to 6 months, they have to sign off on the warrant. And it's a warrant that gives the jail or give the authorities at the prison, they get the authority to keep you based on that warrant, right? So you can't fault, I don't fault the prison system, because the police would have taken this person there with a warrant with the person's name. And even though later on they think the prison, based on the report, discovered that was not the right person. But these are basic things that you have to do. And having gone through that, there's another one here now on the 11th, this was published. Man wrongfully arrested and imprisoned for 18 days, and he sues the state for $96 million. The man was wrong. And let me read this thing to you for you to understand what is alleged. The name of the man is Terrence Sandy. He's a 22-year-old porter of Kurukururu, Linden, Susac Highway. He has filed a $96 million lawsuit against the Guyana Police Force, and by extension, the state, for wrongful arrest and imprisonment for 80 days. 80 days. The action was filed through Dexter Todd and Associate law firm. Another press release from the entity detailed the series of events that led to the charge of break and enter, and lastly, finally being withdrawn and the release of Sandy from prison. According to the release, on June 10, 2023, Sandy was walking home when he was approached by a police van, and a police officer asked him if his name was Caesar. He responded in the negative, and they then asked him if he worked on a truck. He indicated to them that he did, and he was told to get in the police vehicle. He was taken to Timeri police station, where he was officially arrested and taken to Madwini police station on the Linden-Suzaik Highway, where he was placed in cell with no explanation and without a statement being requested of him. He was subsequently charged with the offense of break and enter and larceny and taken to the Diamond Magistrate Court, where he was unrepresented and subsequently remanded by the magistrate on June 13, 2023. Mr. Sandy was imprisoned, and this is a quote from the law firm. Mr. Sandy was imprisoned at the Lusitano prison, and his family thereafter retained an attorney to represent him. Full disclosure was done in this matter, and on Friday, July 7, 2023, and upon review of all the statements served on Mr. Sandy, it was discovered by his attorneys that there was absolutely no evidence implicating Mr. Sandy in the alleged offense that was committed. In fact, there was absolutely no mention of his name, no mention of an alias, or even a description of him by any one of the witnesses. The virtual complainant himself made no mention of Mr. Sandy and never identified him as someone who robbed him. Even further, there was no statement speaking to his arrest, and an allegation be put to him, or anything pointing to the police following the procedures prescribed by the law and the judge's rules. That's what the law firm claimed. They went on to say his attorney wrote the Director of Public Prosecution on July 18, 2023, requesting that she review the file and withdraw the charges against Mr. Sandy. This was also raised in the court on July 27, where the police revealed that the file was never sent to the DPP for advice before the charge was instituted against Sandy. The court therefore ordered that the file be delivered to the DPP's office for advice. On return to court on August 28, 2023, it was revealed that the file was never sent to the DPP for advice and that the prosecution was still in possession of the file. The court once again ordered that the file be sent for advice and it will be hand-delivered. Upon return to court on August 28, 2023, the story was the same. The file was not taken to the DPP's chamber for advice. Bail was eventually granted to Mr. Sandy and his co-accused in the sum of $150,000, along with weekly reporting conditions. Finally, by letter dated 26th of September 2023, the DPP indicated that she reviewed the file and advised that the matter be withdrawn. The charges were subsequently withdrawn on October 5th, 2023 at the Diamond Magistrate Court, but only after counsel raised the point of the letter sent by the DPP to withdraw the charge. The withdrawal letter, hear this, the withdrawal letter was in the police file, but the police refused to bring it to the court's attention, even after the magistrate gave an adjournment date in January 2024. According to the law firm, the simplest investigation and due diligence would have been sufficient to prove that Mr. Sandy was in no way involved in the committal of this offense and that the police had the wrong person. Nevertheless, the police force proceeded with their unlawful arrest and subsequently pressed criminal charges, tarnishing Mr. Sandy's reputation with a baseless accusation. As a result, Sandy is now seeking $96 million for the immense damage caused by his unlawful arrest, unwarranted detention, unjust imprisonment, and malicious prosecution. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this if you were to go by what is reported by the law firm? And I have no reason to doubt them. The man picked up, taken to the station, ended up with a charge before the court, remanded, 80 days he's on remand. The magistrate, and this is the part that worries me, when it was drawn to the attention that this matter was never sent to the DPP to be reviewed, the file was never sent there. The magistrate instructed them to send the file. and they refuse to send the file for instruction. And the question, therefore, that I want to ask, who are the persons who are going to be held responsible for this matter? The man is suing the state. If he wins whatever amount of damages he gets, is we the taxpayers have to pay. And it would appear, and as we have said before, these matters are occurring and the ranks who are involved are not made to answer. We pointed out in many cases they are promoted, and this too is a matter, well, it might have preceded the current commander, because the current commander is Romana, but Romana took over from Mahendra Singh, the man who is now the traffic chief, and is either one or the other. So what is going on with this system where the magistrate can give instructions for file to be sent to the DPP, and months after, nothing is done? What happened to the station sergeant? What happened to the subdivisional officer? What happened to the divisional commander? What happened to these people? These people are not supervising these matters to see what is going on. We made the same comment in respect to the man who sued for $35 million with the warrant. What happened to the supervisory levels in the force? Mr. Conway, perhaps you can help me out here, please. Cecile?
Yeah, sometimes it boggles the mind. I agree that not all files must be sent to DPP. What is a good case where this one should not have been sent? But not based on the facts, but there are some files that must go to the DPP. You may require the DPP fiat certain matters under the Sexual Offences Act, and others where it must go to the DPP. But not every file you send into the DPP. But if I'm the judge, but what the attorney is saying, what Dr. Todd is saying, that there was no evidence, and that's after that full disclosure. Remember, in the Administration of Justice Act, indictable matters being tried summarily, you have to give full disclosure to the defendant. And he said no evidence, no mention of the defendant's name, no description, nothing mentioned but the complainant, no call name, no anything. And then if you arrest a man, they get something that's called, where they get either the confrontations you might want sometimes, or an ID parade at several stations. I don't know if there's any on his bank, where during the citizen security program, we built what we call ID rooms, where persons, where you can stay behind a mirror and you can see the person on the other side without the person knowing you. They call them the two-way mirrors. So sometimes the witness might be afraid, I want no confrontation with the person. So they say, put you and you watch a two-way mirror, and you check and you hold an ID parade, and which must be made up of persons of similar similar status, similar appearance. But you wonder if it was the role of a station sergeant, and you wonder whether or not it was a little constable just harass the man and charge him. I don't know what the rank who instituted the charge, that these things that the station sergeant is very critical, and also the subdivision officer. Sometimes a matter like that, will not reach the commander, but definitely at the station sergeant level, and then there's a reporting procedure too. That you might not see the file, but somebody got to report to you that John Jones was arrested and charged and for court and so on so date, and the matter's been thing. And if sometimes this officer might say, let the file come to me, let me see it. As you mentioned, the magistrate ordered that the files go to DPP. And months afterward, nothing is done. Was there something to hide? Did they realize that they didn't have any evidence, so they got skin up? That we gotta be fair to people, and if you're gonna charge people, you gotta get evidence. And that's why in certain matters where the matters are complicated, you send to the DPP for proper legal advice. You don't take it on your own and go and charge. If it's clear cut, yes, right away take the person before the court. But they say it's thinking 80 days behind bars, 80 days more, and no evidence, no mention of his name, no description. The complainant hasn't been able to say, well, this is the person who committed the offense. What is going on at the various level? at the station level, at the subdivision level, at the command level, and at the CID level. And you mentioned that all files going to DPP must pass through the CID headquarters, and CID headquarters is headed by an attorney at law, and also they have a legal advisor right there too. All these things happening, and no action being taken, and also the persons involved, nothing will happen to them. They won't pay anything. The state they gotta pay. So they need to have proper supervision and proper command and control and proper what we call case management. When I was in the college, we did case management programs. There are programs that deal with case management, effective programs, but perhaps they don't do no case management. You just left at that. And even as a commando, you as a commando, that all serious matters at the end of the court, they gotta send a report to you. You gotta think, and if there are problems, they gotta report. You gotta be informed. You gotta report to you. But maybe all those systems are just broken down and is a free for all.
Yeah, perhaps it is. But in this case, again, the question is asked on what basis, based on what the authorities are saying, that you have a file, there is no evidence. And let me be real, because this is a break and enter and larceny. So therefore, the victim might never have seen the perpetrator. So they don't know identification. So on what basis they get fingerprint? They get someone, some eyewitness to see this man? Did they are they using the doctrine of recent possession in terms? It said you found him with items that were stolen from this place. What evidence do they have to say that they are charging this man? The man is remanded, spending 80 days in prison. What evidence? What evidence? And I make this point. I know the people report to the minister, they report to the extended squatter and others. We make this point to say that the whole thing has broken down. It is clear, because if people are just picking up people and charging them, Margaret remand, spending 80 days, and there is no evidence, it simply means that the system has broken down. And even though we are stressing on the 80 days, we have had cases where people spend years in jail for the serious offense of murder. And when it gets to the High Court, the judges have said that there was never ever any evidence against that accused person. And I recall in one specific case that the prosecutors from the DPP's chamber agreed that there was no evidence against this person. Something is definitely wrong with the system, and it would appear as though that no one is addressing this thing. And part of the address is that people have to be held accountable and responsible. So some investigation, I know they like to say the OPR is going to investigate. So some investigation should be done to find out first on what basis the man was arrested, on what basis he was charged, and why didn't the prosecutor, having been instructed by the magistrate to send the file to get legal advice, did not comply. All of those things. And people should be held to face, you got to face the music. That is the only way you're going to bring about change. But people continue to act with impunity, and these rights, people's rights are going to be violated. And I suspect this is just the tip of the iceberg, because there might very well be many, many more similar cases. I recall too, one of the judges remarked in the High Court when a no-case submission was upheld, that she was aware that there were several similar cases where people were languishing in the prison and they do not have any evidence against them. They're just waiting for the matter to come up and to go through that process. Something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. And having said that, let me come to this one. I saw this one was, I think, this morning. Is this morning? Could be this headline. This headline could not be right, Mr. Conway. I want your comment on this. The headline in the newspaper, Kaicho News, says, police arrest 2 men for failing to report dead body discovered 4 months ago. This is a story where the according to the news, I don't believe it. I don't believe that police would arrest 2 men because, according to them, they discovered a body 4 months ago and they failed to report it to the police. So when it came to attention, these men, that's what Kaicho News is saying, but I don't think police would arrest people on that basis. Because what you're arresting them for? I mean, you will get them to assist you in the investigation, but arrest them because they failed to report dead body discovered 4 months ago. Mr. Conway, help me out here, man.
I don't know of any law. Maybe there is saying that you find a dead body that you must report or you observe a dead body. And I want to believe that people must be behaving all the way police treat them because you're going to report you saw a dead body and the police hold you and arrest you. Hold you and arrest you. Many persons in this country will see crime committed, will think and will not give evidence because they don't have any public confidence in the police. And because the police way of you going to report and automatically you become the number one suspect. I don't know where any law will tell that because I saw a dead body that and I didn't report it to the police is an offense. Where is that? Maybe they must get their own lie. You know? I don't want to believe this story, man. It doesn't sound right. The reporter must get the facts correctly, but I don't think so. But the police attitude would allow this thing to happen. That, hey, I ain't reporting nothing because I'm going to end up in trouble. So let the dead body stay right where there.
Yeah, because it's difficult to understand that, and I can't believe this headline, but I just thought I'll mention it. But you said, I remember some years ago, I got a friend who's a farmer. He told me a story. He said he was going to his farm one day and he went into the bush or somewhere to relieve himself. And he saw a dead body, probably a person that ingested poison. Man had just died. He said that he started to go to the police station to make a report. But on his way, he had a change of heart. He changed his mind because he said that he realized that if he should go to the police and make such a report, they are going to arrest him. He said he told me, he said, Paul, I saw this body and I said, your civic responsibility, you're going to make a report to the police that you see a dead body. He said, but then he catch himself. He said, if I make this report, they are going to arrest me. Perhaps I'm going to spend 2-3 days in custody. So he just turned back and went his merry way to his farm. He went to his farm to do his work because he was fearful that if he should report this matter to the police, he was going to be arrested and kept in custody from some time. That is the story. So people are afraid. And you don't want that. You want people to come and to treat people reasonably. We said the same thing with accidents. The one on the West Coast Borbies recently with the truck, the car, and the motorcyclist. We made the point that based on what is reported, the truck was going east. The car was behind him. The car attempting to overtake, struck the motorcycle on the other side of the road. The motorcycle came into contact with the truck and the man died. And the police said they arrest both of them. Both drivers were arrested. And then, somebody said in a comment, maybe you don't know if the truck man prevented the car man from overtaking him and all of that. I ain't buying that because the rules of the road are simple that in order for you to overtake, you have to make sure that the place is clear. Clear, nobody come in the opposite direction and whatever rate of speed you're going, you can safely overtake. So you have these things, and because of the police action, people are afraid to report these matters. Now, there's another matter that I want to bring to attention. I saw a report, January 11th, and it says, Lamar Spring, Bel Air donate vehicles to the police. Let me read that what it says. It said Lamar Spring, there is a resident from Lamar Spring, Bel Air, donate vehicles to the police. The article, a short article, said Lamar Springs and Bel Air communities pool their resources and yesterday presented 2 new motor vehicles to the Ghana Police Force. And the over ceremony was done yesterday morning at the Tactical Services Square Police Headquarters, Ivlery. And here what they say, I can't believe this flies in the face of what has been reported. It says, due to the increase in crimes in the area, residents came together and partnered with the police. The new vehicles will be used for patrolling the area, a release from the police said. Now they say in brief remark, Commissioner Police is not acting anymore. So they say in brief remark, Commissioner Police lauded the support of the residents and also the private sector for this timely donation. Let me show you the vehicle that was donated. This is what is reported. This vehicle donated to the police to patrol a particular area because, as what they're saying, that the increase in crime in the area. But they have been telling us all along there's no increase in crime in no area. That's the impression that we're getting, that there's no increase. And, you know, I remember not so long ago, let me, a matter of fact, back in May of 2022, if you recall, Eldorado Trading, S-Jagmohan, donated 10 vehicles to the police. And these vehicles were to be used exclusively on the Essequibo coast. And then we also had a situation where some company donated 10 firearms, I think it was a Glock 9mm pistols to the police. You know, today is budget day. Today is budget day, as reporting. And I'm hoping that the budget, the government budget, will take care of all of the needs of the police. I don't have to have private entities making donations. They donate computer, they donate guns, they donate vehicles, and all of these things. So again, it is an indication that perhaps they do not have the resources. And you know, it's sad because over the recent years, you would have seen statement by the Minister of Home Affairs and other people doing the propaganda that how many vehicles and how many millions of dollars are spent on vehicles and arms and ammunition, and yet still, the light one, some security company donated. I had the article, I forgot to print it to give you the date and so on, but you can Google it, you're going to see a security company donated 10 firearms to the police. And then they did say in a statement that will go a long way towards assisting in crime solving and all that. I don't know how that there's something in Village Voice where I was asked a comment and I made a comment on the same thing. But CC explained to me why in this oil-rich country, one, they boast about the fastest growing economy in the world, that you still have to depend on the goodness of people in a particular area to donate vehicles to patrol the area. How that is so, CC? Explain to me.
Well, in this oil-rich country, the fastest growing economy in the world, we still depending on donation. I remember on several occasions the president saying he's going to give the police all the facilities, all they want to fight crime, that he's prepared to give them that. Perhaps nobody in talking to the president, nobody in telling the president they can get vehicles and things. And then when you look at it, at the same function, the extended squad is quoted to have said that there's a 25% decrease in what he calls serious crimes. And yet still people in Lamar Springs and Bel Air are so concerned about the increase in crime that they gotta come together and donate 2 vehicles to patrol the area. And what they're doing, they're looking at the fruits. They're not looking at the main root of crime. Where are the perpetrators coming? The vehicles driving past from Lamar Springs to Bel Air, they're miles apart. And they got to drive past all the areas which are known to be crime area. So they ain't concentrating upon they're concentrating upon the springs. And then this thing about accepting donations is a first step towards moving into corruption. There's nothing like a free lunch. People who donate would want preferential treatment. You mentioned about Essequibo, Jagmohan donated 10 vehicles. And then you're hearing police saying, we can't do Jagmohan workers, nothing. There's a boss man that give me vehicles. And a whole set of things. It is the first step towards corruption. People don't do things just on with their own kindness. They expect preferential treatment. Let me tell a story what happened to me. When I was Commando ENF, was commander for Region 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10 at the same time. And now they have different commanders for each division. And we were concerned about speeding in the Linden area. And I made some contacts and with Omai. Omai was flourishing then. My mentor, Norman McLean, Major General Norman McLean, was there. And I got a speed gun. I make sure the ranks were trained to use the speed guns. So we say we're concerned about speeding. So we say we're going to use the radar guns to bring perpetrators to justice. And on the first day of the activity, we had, I think it's 23 persons who were speeding. And the same evening, I got a call from a senior person from Omai. And the man said, imagine we give you Omai guns and you lock up 4 Omai people. 4 Omai people thing. So we give you guns, we give you speed guns for lock up with your own people. I didn't realize that he had expected preferential treatment for Omai. And there's a thing that when you start to go to people, they expect a favor. Some of those certain people who donated, they want to get firearm. They want all kind of thing there. And that is, and even the ones at the bottom will say, if the big one's doing it, we got to do it. And very quickly, they're going to slip down the slippery slope to corruption. That is encouraging corruption. It might be, yes, people, good gesture, you're donating, but it opening up itself. And persons, this is Guyana, this is Guyanese culture, person would expect preferential treatment. You mentioned boys Cribble. Let it lock up one of the Jagmon people. Then you're going to hear, Jagmon they donated 10 vehicles and you lock up the man and them kind of thing. This government that is governing this oil-rich country, the fastest growing economy in the world, must provide, and the president said so, that they're going to provide all the facilities needed for the police to do their work. But lo and behold, the police are accepting things. Perhaps they're not talking to the president. Perhaps the extended squatter might be waiting till after election, he said, when his term will finish, then on the other side, he may talk to the president. But the thing is, I will not encourage it. For me, it is unethical, and it's a way of opening for persons to slide down the slippery slope of corruption.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. And someone is saying here, again, when I started seeing Lamar Springs, so I say Lamar Springs is a giant services place. Lamar Springs, and someone is saying it's not Lamar Springs, they refer to Lamar Gardens. And I want to believe that it might be so, because Lamar Springs is a giant services scheme, if I remember correctly. So we got checked out. But they say in the release, Lamar Spring Bel Air donate vehicles to the police, right? So that is what they are claiming. And again, I say, why donate? And let me show you this. Let me show you this short clip. They're donating vehicles. Government saying they're spending all this money. Somebody sent this to me this morning. Sit back. It's a very short clip. I'm going to show it a couple of times. Look what's going on. Look. Let me start it over. Look what's going on here. Look. Let me show it one more time. This is a police motorcycle. Obviously, 2 traffic wrong. The one burn, the man be an overblow. You got to push it to get it started. Look, he has to push it to get it started. And they're talking about all this money in this oil economy. Policeman been over, double over there, blowing, panting for breath. The man burn. The man got to push the motorcycle to get it started. Right? And don't blame the ranks. Don't blame the ranks. The ranks have to operate with what they are given. And if you're talking about looking into welfare and all of these things, you must provide the resources for the ranks. You must provide the resources. right? Yes, the policeman pushing the thing. When he done that, he can't go on no traffic duty. When he done, he bond. You see the man lean over. Let me show you one more time. The man lean over there, and the man blowing like a bush bull. Look, look, look. Nope, Sean, PT can't help though. PT, look, 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 look. Man bend over there. Man put the man bun. Tired, as they would say. Man bun. And again, that's how Rastaman said this is Ghana. These things are very concerning. You're accepting donation from private citizens, and there's nothing like a free lunch. When these people make donations, they are expecting to preferential treatment. When a businessman donates 10 vehicles to a particular area, I believe, given the culture of the force, he has become almost untouchable in that area. He is untouchable. And the question was asked about these vehicles donated to patrol a particular area. Who is doing this patrol? Who is going to do the patrol? And I would suspect that the patrols are not done in that area because of lack of manpower. So when you donate vehicles, will it be the same donors or residents from the society or that community who are going to do the patrol? Who going to do these patrols? A lot of these things are just band-aids, just for the public consumption. They do this thing to give the impression that something is being done, but nothing substantial is being done. Nothing substantial. As I've said, today is budget day. Long ago, I recall when there was budget day, there was a lot of excitement in the air. Now, you have a budget day, I don't even believe a lot of people know that the finance minister will go there, the short man, and go there for 3-4 hours and read things that nobody can pay much attention to. And in the coming days, one can expect the propagandists on the government side will tell you that it's the best budget ever, the largest budget ever, almost $1 billion you can anticipate. And then during the year, they're going to have 3 or 4 supplemental budgets, billions and billions of dollars. Look out for an agency, a dead agency like Gaisuko, getting billions and billions of dollars. It's all propaganda. It's all propaganda. The people who deserving of the money, the people at the low end of the scale, public servants, people in uniform, they ain't got nothing to get. Public servants, 6.5%, that was that done long time ago, right? You're right, Debbie. Budget day was a big day back in those days. Big day back in the days. When these people walk in there with a briefcase and thing to read Carl Greenwich and others back in the day. Big thing, budget day. And now, what you have? You have a budget day and no one seems to be interested in what is this. They're going to tell you how much trillions of dollars they're spending. And they get police pushing motorbike for it to start. And you have people in communities have to donate vehicles to patrol their own area. That is what you have. And they just vex with you when you talk. They're going to vex with you because you are speaking the truth. But I've said before, I will continue to speak the truth. And those who are annoyed, that is up to them. That is not nothing on me. That is on them. But see, we had another matter to talk about this morning, but time has run out. So this, I think it was yesterday's news. And I want you people to just whet your appetite so you can read on it. And it says here, and this was Sabbath Tuesday yesterday, government to use facial recognition to track criminals. That is what the second vice president is reported to have said at his last, I know we could call it a press conference, the last engagement he had on Thursday. I would normally say, when you listen, you got to listen to the mighty Duke. I like me Calypso. Woman wa canal. Cuss out between Ineda and Shimakume. So he had this and he's saying facial recognition. But I will encourage people to read this thing because there are some very worrying, the statement, there are some very worrying statements made by the second vice president about invasion of privacy and all that. Read it. You get some homework. When we come next, we are going to discuss it further with you. Because when you look at this facial recognition software in the hands of a weaponized police force, and there's no doubt that the police force has been weaponized. In the hands of a government that has weaponized the Cybercrime Act, there's no doubt about that neither, to go after the opponents and people who they perceive to be against government. The vice president himself made a statement that they're going to go after social media influencers, even though they try to walk it back and try to spin. The statement is there. The statement was made by him, right? So I encourage you to read this article. It was in yesterday's paper, and today's editorial in Stabrook News addressed some concerns about that very those statements made by the second vice president. So let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing remarks, and then we're gonna wrap up. Mr. CC, your closing remarks.
Yeah, we have to really look at it substantially, the statement by the second vice president in relation to facial recognition. And as you mentioned, the editorial today is very, very instructive. But this is a quick one, but very important one. And region number 6. Sometime I got several complaints, and remember I was commanded there. Remember I live in Borbis. I grew up in Borbis, and I will always get complaints from not only police but members of the public. The information I got is that sometime in November, a memo from the commander's office to members of his staff that they must submit a return of when they will proceed on annualized vacation leave for 2024. Some persons submitted, others were reluctant because they couldn't find it. They didn't decide when they would go on leave. And leave is an entitlement, I don't care if people say. And lo and behold, during last week, a return of all persons who will proceed on leave was submitted to members, where those who put the dates and those who did not put any date, the regional commander decided when they must go and leave. Persons have queried and said, what we put on, then is where you must go and leave. They get one rank, understand he bought a ticket to go to Barbados and spend some time with his relatives in February. The regional command put him to go and leave in August. So he can't go to Barbados in February. Maybe they got state emergency. One woman, understand, her boyfriend proposed to her on Old Year's Day, and they set a wedding for August, and she decided that she's going to go to the United States of America to spend her honeymoon utilizing her leave. Lo and behold, she's done to go and leave in February. And it's a draconian situation going on there. You must go and leave when we say you must go and leave. Nobody's not no agreement with nobody. We're not in the state of unrest in this country. And lo and behold, the region, the division sending people on leave when they want to send it. No discussion with persons. And not doing that, well, look at it. Many senior officers get hundreds and hundreds of days leave, and they ain't taking no leave. They ain't taking no leave. Understand this situation is only in region 6. The other regions not doing it. So perhaps region 6 is the commander is a commissioner by himself. Somebody need to look at it. Maybe the extended squatter should get involved, or the assistant commissioner in charge of division, I think his name is Bodram, should get involved and see. And there's a whole lot of things going on in Borbis. A lot also the corruption and incompetence. Somebody need to look at region 6 and region 6 command and find out what is going on in that thing. It's going to blow up. They started to get a whole set of sick leave and all kind of thing there. That division is not running as is not properly commanded. And all because they have indigenized the command position in the Ghana police force, the divisional commanding position and region, and they're region number 6 started to suffer because of incompetence, cause of incompetence. So somebody need to look at it, that the division decide when you must go on leave. And they say that is final.
Well, let them don't look at it. If they don't look at it, you got a man named Bob Marley. Bob Marley sang a beautiful song named Jamming. You jam in. If they don't look at it, Bob Marley will come into play. People are going to jam. And for those of you who are not familiar with the word jam, it simply means people are going to report sick. And somebody reminded me that a lot of the senior ones, including the extended squatter, they ain't going on leave. They are accumulating hundreds and hundreds of days of leave, and then they are writing to the government for payment in lieu of leave. Here it is. They're forcing people to go on leave. They are not going on the leave. And then when they accumulate all those hundreds and hundreds of days of leave, then they're writing to the government to be paid in lieu of leave. And let me inform or remind that the public service rule is clear that every year you must apply for your annualized vacation leave. You have to apply. The rule further states that having applied, you can make out grounds for deferral. So if you apply for leave in 2024 and something comes up, you can ask for it to be deferred. You can't decide. You have to make a request, and the authorities might consider and refer you or defer the leave to the next year. But the public service rules say that you cannot defer more than 2 consecutive terms. So I often wonder how these people accumulating 100 and something, 300 and something days leave. And I recall some years ago, there was a circular by the late Roger Luncheon when he was head of the presidential secretariat to remind persons of this rule that you must apply for your leave. And if there's any reason for it to be deferred, you have to request for a deferral. And let me tell you further what that memo said. It reminded you that if you fail to apply for your leave, or if you fail to request deferral, the leave is forfeited. Let me understand it. Check the public service rules. The rules are clear, but people doing their own thing. People want, you just check to see in the force. Check. You get those people in the system to see how often or when last some of the senior ones went on leave, annualized vacation leave, and referred to. Check to see when last. Perhaps you can start from superintendent up. Superintendent, senior superintendent, assistant commissioner, and check to see when last they went on annualized vacation leave. They're not going anyplace. And the question is always asked, why would a person not want to go on leave? And the big C might be into play. And I'm talking about cancer, the big C, the sixth sense, or the sixth thing, corruption might be the reason. People don't want to go because the thing's sweet. They don't want to go. I always said I am proud. I get a record. Every single year I took my leave. Every single year. I took it in 2 tranches. First half I took half of the leave because when I was senior I was entitled to 42 days a year. And then the second half I took the remainder. And sometimes I wasn't well enough to travel having gone on leave. And therefore, what you call sick leave entitlement. Every year I took it. Every year. So when time came for me to retire, I had no long pre-retirement leave. It's just the prorated leave on a few days of the year. People don't want to go on leave. And any properly managed system will make sure that people go on leave, but not by arbitrary decision, because going on leave is a means of identifying people to fill posts and all of that, acting appointments so that people can be trained up on all of that. But that is not happening. And you got a Minister of Home Affairs, you got the people of the Public Service Ministry, you got all them silent. They're not addressing these issues, and they cannot see how these things are impacting on performance and efficiency of the organization. Can't see that. And that is why we are in the state we are in. And let me close off by saying, let me close off by saying this. Today, Monday, the 15th, I indicated to you folks that I have this matter on the 19th, that is Friday coming. And therefore, we're not going to have any program Wednesday. We apologize. We're not going to have any program on Wednesday. God willing, our next program will be on Monday. Next Monday going to be what? This 22nd Monday is when we're going to have the next program. We apologize. If we might try to make it up sometime next week, but that is how the schedule looks. I want to encourage you again. Today we didn't even get to touch on the fatal accidents and all those many fires and all of that. So many things are happening in this beautiful land of ours. So many things that we need to bring to your attention. So some of these matters have to be deferred to some other time. The people have been behind me for months now to deal with the police discipline, and I have been promising to deal with it. I was hoping that today I would have gotten the opportunity, but again, as you can see. But I have it on the agenda, and we will be addressing it soon. So, folks, until next Monday, I want you to be safe. Watch out for yourself. Watch out for your friends. Watch out for your colleagues. Watch out for your others. Watch out for those who are not watching out for themselves. And I say, God spare life next Monday at 11 o'clock New York time, 12 o'clock Guyana time. We're going to join you here again for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Until then, have a good day. Bye.